for those of you who've just come in, I am substituting for Reverend Sally tonight. At the last minute, she just wasn't feeling well, so me and my cat sister are going to be hosting tonight. So welcome everybody. If you haven't been here before, welcome. It's our Wednesday night service, and I don't have the script, so I'm just going to make this up about why we do it, because it's an interlude in the week. It's a more intimate evening, a time when we can actually discuss things and get more deeply into some of the things that were brought up on the Sunday. And so tonight, Reverend Sunshine is going to take us more deeply into the subject that she talked about last Sunday, that if I could remember it, I would tell you, and she will when she does talk. And also, I just want to tell you, I think that there might be one or two new people here tonight. And if you're new, if you haven't been here before, if you haven't been to the center, I just want to tell you that we have a newsletter that comes out every week. It comes out on Thursdays, tells you everything that's going on. It tells you who's going to be speaking the next week. And you can sign up for that by going to the website and going to the very top left of the home page is something that says I'm new. If you click that, it takes you to a page and you can sign up for the Village News. So please feel free to do that if you'd like to stay in touch and find out more about what's going on. So I think that's enough, and I'm just going to actually turn it over to Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, who is our senior minister and who is going to lead us into an interesting and lovely discussion tonight. So thank you, Reverend Sunshine, for doing this.
Thanks, Constance, for hosting last minute and for serving as our administrative coordinator at the center and doing the things that you do in the world. And happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight for an interactive discussion. And that's your part, right? Interactive means you participate. So I may pride you, but I'm looking for you to participate however you can show up. And that's what makes it rich, because we all participate. But first, let us start with prayer, as we always do, right? We start and end everything that we do in prayer. So let's just go there, shall we? And let's come together in this space of wholeness and oneness and the awesomeness, the awesome sauce of God. The fullness, the greatness, the creativity, the divine source, the high, holy, sacred place of the Holy Spirit that is everywhere present. And guess what? It's right in the center of each of us, expressing its fullness as us, as our unique individuality, as our unique signature in God. And what I know for sure is this world would not be the same without each one of us, or else we wouldn't even be here. So I declare that we're able to live to our highest, to our fullest, to our greatest, the best that we can, because that is God's intention. So we might as well make it our intention as well. So I know that we are able to breathe in a space of wholeness. We're able to breathe in faith and trust. We're able to breathe in and allow the breath of God to breathe us, to show us who we are and how we show up in this world to make it the world that we want to see and to be. And I give thanks for that. I give thanks for this knowingness of truth, however that demonstrates itself within each of us, and that we can show up together here this very night, this very Wednesday night on the first evening of March in the year 2023, giving thanks on this earth plane that we get to play together tonight. We get to co-create. And I know that this service is blessed. Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is blessed because we have the intention to host this and have opened this divine frequency for us all to say yes to. And we each are blessed because of it. Oh, what a joy and a pleasure and a treasure to behold this. So I simply lift this word up into the divine ethers, knowing that it is already fully activated and fully agreed upon and made manifest in our experience. So we can simply celebrate the truth, this truth being fully manifest right here and right now. We let it be with joy and harmony in our hearts. Join me, won't you, in declaring, and so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes, yes, yes. There we go. And so, beloveds, as you may know, but we have some visitors, so let me restate that Centers for Spiritual Living is working on an annual theme called Living Out Loud. Do you live out loud? Huh, something to think about. Can you live out loud more loudly? I bet we all can, because in God, there's an infinite opportunity to live out loud. We can grow into the next moment and be bigger and bolder and badder than we were the moment before. Did you know that? Right, that's what I believe. And I bet that's what God believes too. And so we not only live out loud this year, but the month that we are tagging, well, we're straddled 2 months. In February, we were talking about curiosity as our superpower. And as you know, last Sunday, we just finished February, the last of February. So that was my talk, curiosity as our superpower. And the talk for the week was living curiosity out loud. Well, and today is March 1st. It starts a new month. And our topic for this month is cultivating authenticity. My favorite topic, authenticity. Oh my goodness, I love it, love it, love it. And so we get to play with curiosity and authenticity all at the same time. So what I'm going to do is extract some things from my talk on Sunday, not to repeat anything, but I posed some questions and I made some statements. And so I'm going to put those out there and then open the floor so that you can react to something, whatever strikes you. It could be totally unrelated, but whatever spirit gives you based on what I've said, put it in the circle. Listen, this is a sacred circle. Those of you who know me know I'm big into circle work. And here's the reason why. It's a sacred indigenous practice to be in sacred circle, because the intention of that is healing. Whether we're restoring healing or declaring healing or whatever it is, we can come together in community. I love community. We are a community right here on this call tonight, in this sacred circle. So what we bring into this circle, your presence, your knowingness, and as you speak, I'm going to ask you to say your name. I want everybody in this circle when we open it up, even if that's all you say, speak your name into the circle so that we can have this sacred circle and you can simply put whatever is on your heart, whatever you get touched by. It could be something totally different, but we know that that is seeded from that oneness space of God that we're opening up to. That's where the power of curiosity comes from. That's where the power of authenticity comes from. So that's our format tonight. It's a little different than we usually do. We usually have somebody talk, do a talk, and pose some questions, and then we talk. I'm just going to talk a little bit like I already started, and then open it up so that we can have some dialogue. And that, my friends, is rich. So if you have a paper and pen handy, feel free to grab it and just jot some notes about whatever it is that sparks your curiosity or that comes up for you. And I'll try to put it in the chat as best I can. And it's just going to be a bunch of stuff in the chat. You're going to say, what? But it's just a mishmash of stuff from my talk. And hopefully the talk made sense on Sunday. But I'm just pulling some things out so that we can talk about it. So here's the first one. On a scale of 1 to 10, and we're not going to answer it right now. I'm just going to throw a bunch of things out and you react to whatever you want to. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your ability to live curiosity out loud and why? I'm just going to give you a second to think about that. Like, be honest with yourself too, because nobody's going to know if you're telling the truth or not, but you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how would you rate your ability? Not only your ability, but the reality of you living out curiosity out loud, whatever curiosity means to you. And why is that? Are you standing in your own way? Are you allowing yourself to be curious? I don't know. It's something to think about. And here's another one. I'm copying and pasting as I go, so that's why I pause. Let me say it. Our new spiritual leader, Reverend Sonny Cantrell Smith, who was just elected last week at the Vista Conference, the annual conference, made this statement that I quoted on Sunday. And she said, we cannot sacrifice our humanity in chasing spiritual enlightenment. In other words, it needs to be the both and. It needs to be about action. And not just any action, inspired action, not just through spiritual practice. If we just rely on spiritual practice and we pray things away, we deny that these things are happening live, boots on the ground where you see violence and hurt and pain and whatever, and you just pray it through, pray it away, that could be considered spiritual bypass, right? It's not that we need to dwell in what's happening here, but we need to do both. We need to know the truth, the divine truth about it, and perhaps there's an action on the ground that we need to do. So that's an interesting statement to me about this living in our humanity and also being in spiritual enlightenment. It's the both and. And then to go along with that, another speaker from the Vista Conference, Dr. Petra Welds, said this of us. I'm sure we've heard this, that we're spirit humans, she called us. And that means that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so that's why that previous quote can be so provocative, because, we are seeking spiritual enlightenment as spiritual beings. That's what we know. That's what we're aspiring to. That's why we're in spiritual community together. And we're humans. So we're feeling the emotions. We're feeling the grief. We're feeling the pain. We're feeling the joy. We're feeling whatever it is. How do we balance between those two? How do you balance between those two? Like, what do you do? Of course, spiritual practice, but maybe you have some other tricks that you've learned to help you navigate both worlds. Here's another one. I mentioned this thing. Actually, that was Sunday morning before service when I was sitting in meditation before I even got to church. I was in meditation and this came up. Spirit, can I have a spiritual do-over? And I mentioned that because there was this instance that came to me while I was in meditation that I was thinking, oh my goodness, I responded like that? I was really responding from a place of hurt or from a place of judgment or from a place of pain. And then it caused me to think, what if I was able to do that over? How would I do it differently? This is one of my favorite things, the lessons learned. It's okay to go through hard times. It's really okay. That's what life is about, I believe. It's how you react to it, how you learn from it, how you allow it to influence your next move, your next step. To me, that was the spiritual do-over. Like, if I had the opportunity to do it again, would I have done it the same way? Would I have said the same thing? And I figured for me, for that instance, I needed to start with forgiveness. In order to do it over, I had to forgive myself for how I did it in the first place, that I wanted to do it over. So spiritual do-over, that's what that means. And then here's, I'm big on this topic. My community knows this because I'm starting listening circles and talking about listening a lot. I'm starting a listening class. How can you be curious? Remember, we were talking about curiosity and living curiosity out loud. How can you be curious through listening and listen differently? How can you allow yourself? What does it take for you to listen non-defensively? To listen in a way that empowers somebody to speak truthfully and honestly? Like, what do you need to do? What do I need to do to be curious about my own listening? And am I listening from a whole place? And here's part of the way I think we can do it is to wait for it, as my friend says, be curious and courageous. When you're curious, you lean in. You let the universe know, I'm open, like, tell me more. When I lean in, you see me more clearly on that screen, don't you? When I lean in, you feel like I care about you. And then it may allow a space of courage, and as my grandmother would say, holy boldness, to listen in, to say what it is I'm feeling and hearing. And guess what? The person that you're listening to or talking to may need to hear that very thing that you're resisting saying. Listening is really important. Let's see what else I have for you. Okay, here's one. I tell you, I'm throwing out a lot of stuff. So if something's sparking for you, I want you to take note of it. I love this one. In what areas can you be more humble in your life? And how will it serve you? We as humans have a tendency to be pretty arrogant. We think we know everything. That's why many of us are afraid of the dark, because we can't control it. That's my thought. We want to control everything, and if we can't, we want to dominate it or what have you. The opposite of that is being humble. The opposite of that is that leaning in, is that vulnerability, is that space of, I don't know. Oh my goodness, did I say I don't know? We don't have to know. We don't have to know everything, but we think we do, and that's where we operate from. And so here's another one. It's a lot of questions I'm putting out here. And those of you who may be in different communities, you can respond to this for your community or our community. What's your wildest dream for Oakland Center for Spiritual Living? This came from the book discussion of the 4 Pivots, which Carmen West Jefferson and Deborah Jackson and Crystal Fry co-facilitated here the other night. It was great. And within one of those pivots, I think it was talking about possibilities and potential or something like that. And they posed a question, what's your wildest dream for OCSL? And so I said it at service on Sunday. And guess what? In our practitioner meeting that afternoon, that question got posed. So that question has been rolling around now because it's a juicy one. What's our wildest dream? Who do we have to become to make that possible? Each individual in the community, who do we have to become to make our wildest dreams possible? It's worth thinking about. And guess what? It's doable. We just have to get out of our own way. It's real simple. Well, simple is relative. Some of it may be hard, but life might be hard anyway. You might as well make it hard and worthwhile. So that's a question. And I'm coming to the end of the questions. I passed one that is really, really important. Here, this kind of speaks to authenticity, which is one of my favorite subjects. And this came from Vista Conference also, because there were so many great speakers that I just kind of wrote some notes and put some things together to give the congregation on Sunday highlights from the conference. Reverend Karen Fry out of Dallas said, "What aspects of yourself are you not fully embracing? Are you running from something? Are you running from your greatness? There's a thing called fear of failure. There's a thing called fear of success. Are we in our own way? Are there any parts of you that you're rejecting? Oh my goodness. That is so rich and juicy. If, here's the big if we're willing to be honest with ourselves, nobody's going to know but you, but you're going to know. And guess what? It will haunt you until you face it. You'll know. As Dr. Margaret Storrs used to say, and I'd never forgot it, once you know, you can never not know again. And so what I add to that is you can hide from it, you can ignore it or try to ignore it. You can just act like it's not there, but you know within your consciousness, once you know what? The divine power of God. Once you have that awakening within you, you can't forget it. You cannot forget it, no matter how hard you try. So a few more things. This I just added tonight as I was kind of looking over my notes. I love the lessons learned. I just told you about that, right? What's your greatest lessons learned so far this year? We only completed like 2 months of this year. What's your favorite lessons learned in your life personally this year? And how can it support you in moving forward? Humbleness. I like humble instead of humility, even though they come from the same root. I love being humble. It helps me to, people say things sometimes, or I get, a little sensitive about something. And as humans, we can make up a story real quick without validating it. Somebody says something and you just assume that they don't like you, or they're talking about you, or this, that, or the other, when you haven't checked in about it. And guess what? You could check in with them and it has nothing to do with you, nothing whatsoever, but we make it up. And so what that has taught me is to notice. That's one of my favorite spiritual practices, is to notice what I'm doing and what I'm thinking, and say, with curiosity, where'd that come from? Let me explore. I thought I had healed that, but I guess not. So let me explore and then maybe take some action. Let me go talk to this person, because I don't know, even though I'm hurt, maybe I should just go see, or maybe I should resolve it by having that communication, which is the whole reason why I'm doing these listening classes and listening circles, because the way you listen empowers communication and openness and healing. And then when you check in, you may find that person had a whole different understanding, and y'all were on different wavelengths like this. And then you're able to come together and get into alignment. So your greatest lessons learned. And here's another one. You can copy the chat before we get off of here, and you can explore some of these in your own spiritual practice, in your meditation or what have you. Here's another one. What is your growing edge in cultivating authenticity in your life? It might be hard for you, or it's getting easier, but there's still some, about being true to yourself. And I feel like I'm the authenticity queen. But I noticed just yesterday and today, I was putting off having a conversation because I was a little hesitant. But I pushed myself and went and had the conversation, and it was a good one. How often do we not do something because we anticipate that it's not going to be good or that someone will reject us? We could be making that up, you know. Here's the last one, and then I'm going to open up the mic. You ready? Drum roll, drum roll. Last but not least, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? For yourself, for the community, and for the world. That requires creativity too, but curiosity. Let me think about that. And it requires imagination. What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? You know, what would that be? Like, sky's the limit. What? And not even a limit. Like, what would that be to make our world a better place? And if you can think of that, you know, there's a spectrum of that. There's a continuum of that. And then you can find a way to take action. So, last but not least, I have given you a lot to think about. You can scroll through. For those of you who may have come on late, you might not have all the chat. You might not have all these notes, but some of you do. And so I'm just gonna invite us to have a conversation. This is the interactive part. Tell me what you think about it. Which one of these struck a nerve with you? Or this is a piece of cake for me, and tell me why. Or why it's really hard, or why you're gonna have to go away and think about it, or something. Whatever it is you want to say about anything I've had to say. You can raise your hand, or you can, in the reaction button, there's a raise hand feature. That might be a good way to do it. Okay. B. Mardia, hi.
Hello there. I'm doing a little bit of multitasking, so excuse me for my lack of appearance till now. Thank you again for being who you are. I am so grateful to be a part of the Wednesday night community. My response to number one is 7. And I say that because I've always wanted to know the truth. And the truth for me is part of what I have learned to do, and that's be authentic, be in integrity, learning over the time from the different disciplines, manner of to accept it for what it is and see how it applies to my life today. I am embraced and in love with the fact that Center's First Church, let me just say it that way, First Church was my awakening to science of mind through a friend. And then of course, the Course in Miracles and Reverend Amon 30 plus years ago. And it just kept growing, growing, growing. And with Reverend E, her message about love through the tape ministry. So I'm dating myself with that. And that was through a friend said, do you hear this story Reverend E said about love? And just finishing February, the month of love. I say that because it was her voice. And so I continued with Science of Mind, and I met some very beautiful people. And don't take it lightly, but I say that in kind because Reverend Sunshine, you were one of them. You are one of them. First meeting you up there at First Church, and then of course at Heart and Soul. And I embrace the fact of seeing you in the process of becoming who you are. You've been authentic, with integrity, studious, kind, caring. And that other side, of course, I have another side of that too, but you've always been so present. So my opportunity to share in this type of learning and feedback is enriching my spiritual growth even the more, and to live out loud. It's not something I'm going to do. It's something that's I've accepted that Spirit has done and is continuing to do in me. And yes, it is frightful to see what the evolution of that will be, because it's not an end result. I find it being an ongoing. And I'm just grateful to have the enrichment of spiritual communities that I have been in around the Bay Area. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's the way it is, and the fellowship has been sweet. So for that, I hope I am somewhat complete in the answers. And thank you for my allowing me the time to share.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, B. Mardia. And actually, I just want to say, I believe yours is number 7 on the question. On the scale of 1 to 10, I asked, how would you rate your ability to live curiosity out loud and why? Thank you so much for telling us that. That's so great.
Thank you.
Constance.
Well, that first question also got me thinking, and it wasn't so much about the number. It was about, what does curiosity out loud mean? Because the out loud is what caught my thoughts and my attention, because I've considered myself to be an introvert, and I've watched my friends who are extroverts see opportunities to talk to people, do things that don't even enter my consciousness as an opportunity, because I just don't do it. And yet recently I've been curious, because I remember how I was as a child. That as a child, I was very outgoing, and I used to get very excited about things and tell people, I'd meet people, I'd just say, oh, this just happened, I got to tell you all about this. And my older sister would shush me. She would shut me up. And so it's raised a question for me. I'm curious about, is introversion something that is learned, or is it innate, or is it both? The same with extroversion. So that's a question I'm just sort of sitting with. And so living out loud, there was a time when I wouldn't speak my mind at all because I didn't know how. And that isn't such a problem with me these days. Sometimes the problem is how to do it without offending anybody. But, because some people don't like my directness, or they don't understand it. So, but nonetheless, it's the bigger question for me is just really sitting with that. What is innate in us, and what is actually part of our socialization and our grooming as children? So I don't have an answer for that. So that was what came to me.
Thank you. That is so rich, Constance. When you think of living out loud, you do kind of embedded in that is extroversion, but you're absolutely right. For introverts, what does that look like? Maybe I'd rephrase the question. What does it look like for an introvert to live out loud? That doesn't mean that they're not living out loud. As a matter of fact, you remind me, Constance, I fought with the Myers-Briggs survey, for those of you who know that personality instrument. Yeah. And I've taken it over the years many times, and it has me a borderline introvert extrovert. And I would fuss with it. I'm not an introvert. I'm not, y'all know, I present extrovertedly, but after I was really honest with myself, I realized that I process introvertedly. Mm-hmm. And that's how they define introversion, is how you process information. I process in here, and then I present extrovertedly. So very interesting, Constance. Thank you so much.
Yeah, same with me. When I did Myers-Briggs, what really helped me with that was understanding that it was not about how social you were. It was about how do you gain your energy.
Yes.
And so that for me, it is spending time alone. So I totally enjoyed the first year of the pandemic, to be perfectly honest, because I was able to do a lot of things. that I hadn't had time to do and still do my job. And I didn't really miss the social part because I was enriching myself. So it is a really interesting question about how we live. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. Who else? More hands. I'm looking for more hands. It's an interactive dialogue. I did my part. Come on, I'm waiting.
Reinhardt's got his hand raised. There he goes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. I didn't see that. Yes, Reinhardt.
Cool. Well, greetings, everybody. Yeah, this is really a smorgasbord of questions that you laid out there. So this is very rich. The one quote from the new global spiritual leader caught my attention, and I forgot her name, but the humanity and
Reverend
that we shouldn't
Sunny
strive,
Cantrell Smith.
yeah, just for spiritual enlightenment. And the way I interpreted it was not be too distant from what's going on in the world, and there was also the word of action. So who came to my mind was one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Marianne Williamson. And this goes a little bit into politics, but politics is also humanity. And she will, as some of you might know, she will announce that she's running for president again in a few days. And I'm just curious how this will affect me, or the spiritual community. Maybe it's not going to affect us at all. I don't know. It's just, it will be interesting. I'm looking forward that at least into the dialogue, some spiritual thoughts will be brought forward, and we all can have very different opinions, of course, of what this means. Her running for president, but I think the whole the concept of infusing spiritual themes into this discussion will be very enriching. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Reinhardt. I appreciate that. Miss Lita, did I see your hand?
Yes. Mine is about three things. Am I living curiosity out loud? At this point in time, I am not living curiosity out loud, and it isn't because I don't want to. So I don't think I have the opportunity to do that at this point in time. And I will say that I've never been an introvert, but I consider myself a reserved person. I'm not real loquacious like my sister is. But if I have something to say, I will say it without any reservation. And that has never been a problem for me. About being humble, I don't know. Right now, I don't know if I can be humble about something. I have to find the rest of that question. Can I be curious and listen? Can I be curious and listen differently? That's something I can do. I never thought of that question, if I can be curious and listen differently, because it means you have to get any judgments out of the way. And listen differently, listen clearly. What is the other person saying? And why do I disagree, or do I agree with that person? I think that's a deep question. It sounds easy, but I think that's very deep, and it requires listening, and it requires maybe listening with a third ear. I don't know, but that is something definitely to consider, or I should say I need to consider. I'm trying to find I was trying to write these questions down as quickly as I could. What, about the humbleness. In what areas can I be more humble in my life? Okay, that puts a different perspective on the question, as opposed to how I just said it. Okay. My wildest dream for OCSL, I don't have one right now, but I could get pretty wild with that because, yeah, I could get pretty wild with that. But right now, I don't really have one, or I think I would have to think about it. But no, I'm gonna say it because I like music. I like all genres of music. I like instruments, and so one of my wildest dreams would be to see like an orchestra in the pulpit with trumpets and sax and French horns, and and just really shouting and singing to the rafters with the organ and a piano at the same time, and guitars and the whole 9 yards, and the congregation jumping and hopping, and that's that's excitement, that's uplifting. It's my thing about music. I remember when I was part of the Methodist Church, and several of them, the organists, well, there was a combination piano organ, and the organist was down seated where we congregants were, and the choir would be in the back, and the organ would play these. The organist would play the organ, kind of blaring, and the choir would march in and sing, and the congregation would stand, and it was just kind of exhilarating. And those are my roots in the Methodist Church, and I miss that. And then there were times when they sang "When They Swing and Swayed," marching in, and that would be nice to see too. And so there's a lot of things that music can offer in different ways, and it doesn't always have to be, swinging and swaying and so forth. But this is just my wildest dream, and I thought I didn't have one, but it kind of came to me at this point in time. And let's see. What do I kind of make humble? And I know I can never fail. What are my greatest lessons learned? Greatest lessons learned this year. That's interesting. I would say my greatest lessons learned this year are those lessons, Reverend Sunshine, that you have brought to us in community. One, especially the word community, how you spoke that differently for us to come together in unity. And there were other words that you threw at us. I have them written down elsewhere, but you brought a new perspective or dimension on certain words for us to look at and think about and utilize. So I would say those words that you brought to the forefront are some of the greatest lessons I have learned this year from you. And I think that's great. And there's a lot more that I need to learn. And you mentioned just a little while ago about, I don't think I got it all, but when I listen, it empowers me. Did I get that correctly?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that sounds like something I would have said. I don't know. I was just kind of going with what Spirit was did. So I don't know. I'm sure that's true though.
Okay. What would I do if I knew I could not fail? I don't know. I haven't thought about that one. That could be a lot of things. So that's kind of just a little overall of things that came to me as you threw out various questions. and I want to pursue more about living curiosity out loud. And I am realizing that I'm listening or watching different programs. I'm a great PBS KQED fan, and I've been watching a lot of those programs for a long time. But lately, of course, being Black History Month, they have been really providing a lot of Black history information that I never knew of. And last night it was Black Broadway, looking at the African-American stars on Broadway in New York and some of the plays and musicals they were in. So that was an awakening. Some of the names I recognize, most of them not, but that was different. And then there was a book, let me see, the other night, oh, wait a minute, we stand on, the bricks we stand on. And another one was Slavery by Another Name. And I pledged for that book. So there's a lot of ongoing interesting documentaries, not only about Black history, but other histories. And I am curious about a lot of the information that is presented through PBS KQED, because I love those programs. So there's a lot to explore. There's a whole lot for me to explore, and I'm not able to explore it fast enough. So it's like, I want to go fast, but my body won't let me. And sometimes it wants to sleep when I don't want to sleep, and I have to fight to sleep to stay awake. And it's just something I'm going through right now. But I am curious. I'm curious
Thank
about.
you, Miss Lita. I'm gonna stop you there so we can catch one more hand, but thank you. That was all so wonderful. I'm so glad that you took the time to write that down and that you're curious about it and thinking some more. I just love your tenacity.
I apologize for taking up so much time.
Oh, no, you're all good. You're all good. We're almost to the end, but thank you so much. Rev Deb, I saw your hand. Nope, you can't put it down.
It's too late. So what came to me, there were a couple of things. So one of them was mainly the lessons learned. And it actually hit me this morning or yesterday. And it's about being patient. And in life, and it's like in things that I do, it's like to be patient with the outcome and not try to rush through the process. And what I've learned is that when I've not been patient, that I've had to go to this part of to do a spiritual do-over, because not being patient, I made an assumption about a person for some work that they did not do. But had I listened to Spirit, because before I speak, Spirit will tell me, don't say that. And I realized that in my impatience, I'll say it anyway. And then I have to eat crow later. So I realized that, so what's the lesson is to be patient and clarify before speaking or doing. And listen internally to Spirit as well. So that was the part that took me to that do-over part. And so where is it that I'm not, I forgot which question is it, but it's about embracing myself of who I am and creating balance and trusting me more. So that's the aspect of what this year is about. It's about trusting me and stepping out in a way that I've not stepped out before. But it's also about listening and paying attention and being patient, not trying to rush the process. And I'm complete.
Love it. Thank you. That's our last but not least. Oh, no, it's Reverend Jerry. And as we take Reverend Jerry as the last comment, the rest of y'all that didn't speak, it's not required to speak. Y'all not off the hook. I want you to go into this week like thinking about it if you want to. You don't have to, But think about some of these things. Just let it ruminate within you. Because if you're curious, it'll give you some sweet, juicy nuggets. I guarantee it. Okay, Reverend Jerry, you're on.
Okay, I'm going to be very brief because I answered every single question, but I'm going to just bring one to the table. And before I do that, I want to thank Bee for her words that she shared, because I'm in total agreement with her regarding you. And so I'm very grateful in this moment. And I want to share question number 2. You mentioned about Reverend Sunny and her spiritual enlightenment part. And I said that happens during giving of selfless service. So I feel like we become spiritually enlightened when we're giving of selfless service, because it's so important for us individually and for our collective community. So I leave us with that.
Well, but of course, you're the queen to say that, because you have such selfless service. I mean, I've come to so rely on Reverend Jerry, because she's just all over the place all at once. And I just love it, love it, love it. So, I appreciate that you do that and allow yourself to rise into spiritual enlightenment. And you know that.
Yes.
You know that. So this is good. Thank you so much. And y'all be sure and catch Reverend Jerry on Sunday, because she's speaking on authenticity with the subject matter. You'll see the slide shortly. Everyone else is already taken. So thank you, beloveds. And should you choose to accept my challenge, even if you didn't write down the questions, you can save the chat though by going into the chat box, clicking on the little dots, the 3 dots, and then it says save chat, and it'll save it to your computer. And just let it ruminate within you and listen. Spirit will tell you what you need to hear, should you choose to hear it. Thank you so much, Constance. I'm bouncing it back to you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Sunshine. What a rich, rich evening we've had. So we have some announcements tonight. And I just want you to know that my cat decided to leave during the whole service, but came back now. I don't know if you're familiar that sometimes cats are familiars, and she clearly thinks I need some help. So here she is. So let's start. So today, Peter, great, I'll wait until you get the slide up. So today begins Women's History Month and a new monthly theme of cultivating authenticity. The garden's growing, and so are activities. So grab your calendar to make some notes. We've got lots of things happening. This Friday, the day after tomorrow, at 3 p.m., we celebrate our beloved practitioner, Luis Thompson, at his memorial, and all are welcome. So please come out, because he is certainly a being to be celebrated. Then on Saturday, the day after that, join the Loving Stewards of Mother Earth Committee and the garden team for a work party from 9 to 12 noon. So they'll be pruning and weeding the garden, the winter garden, and so we'll have a beautiful spring garden. So all hands are welcome and needed. So bring gloves, warm clothes. I would suggest a poncho as well, and any gardening equipment. And even if you think that you can't garden in the rain, let me tell you, weeds come out a lot easier when the ground is wet. So this Sunday, February 26th, our own Reverend Jerry will be speaking on Everyone Else is Already Taking. So she'll be starting off the month on authenticity. Meditation is at 10. The service is at 10:30, and you can join us by in person, or you can join us on YouTube or on Facebook. So we look forward to seeing you.
Constance, just a correction on the date. You said February 26th. It's March 5th.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Thank you for that. And then next Wednesday, March the 8th, which is also International Women's Day, I will be back here and will be presenting on Everyone Else is Taken, and I'll be bringing an ancient twist to it. So the meditation is at 6:30 and the service at 7, and it of course by Zoom, as you know. Then back into just marching through the week. On Sunday, March 5th, is the next Compassionate Attention to Lost Ministry Support Group. meeting. They meet every month on the first Sunday of the month. They're meeting on Zoom at 1 p.m. Information, the Zoom link is on the COM page under groups on the website, or check the Village News. And the very same day, March the 5th, is the second gathering of the Women's Spiritual Empowerment Group at 12:30 in the sanctuary. So this is the last time you can join for this series of the Women's Spiritual Empowerment Group. You can sign up on the events page, and this is being facilitated by Reverend Jerry Carter and Reverend Catherine Sachs. Now, the next announcement is about Reverend Sunshine's class, The Art of Active Listening. We just finished the first class she did on living the principles. And this class is going to begin on Thursday, March the 9th. So it's a week tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. And in order to prepare materials for this class, registration for the class closes this coming Sunday, March the 5th. And this one you can do either by Zoom or in person. So you have that choice when you register. Thursday, March 10th is the annual meeting. Everyone's invited to attend, and all the official members have already received a notice and information by email. The meeting's at 6 p.m. on Zoom. Then on March the 12th, we're going to co-create our first community listening circle with Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman after the Sunday service at 12:30 till 2 p.m. So either bring your own lunch, or you can purchase a light lunch for $10. You must pre-register on the events page. And when you pre-register, if you want that light lunch, you can pay for it right then so that we'll know exactly how many to buy. So, and this will be a hybrid event. The in-person will be in the social hall, and it's limited in number because of, well, for all the other reasons that we've had to limit things in the last 3 years. And here's a big one and a really important one. The installation and celebration of our new senior minister, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, is on Saturday, March 25th at 1 p.m. Again, this one also is for pre-registration is necessary, and the link and registration is on the events page. So please sign up, and so we know how many people to plan for. And as always, for information that's going on at Oakland Center, visit our website and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. And remember, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates and content you'll only find by liking and subscribing to OCSL. Please like us and subscribe to OCSL today. And so here's a list of the people who our contact team, people that can help you, including Reverend Sunshine, our board president, Zoe DeMuro, our facilities coordinator, Susan Brecker. So it's a wonderful team, and that's just a sampling of the team of the people who actually give their time to keep this place going. And last but not least, please remember that the givingness of spirit is what that spirit always gives of itself, unselfishly, always, always, always. And so we too can do that by giving selflessly. So let's say together, joyously I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. And if you, in order to give, you can go on our website, click that donate button. It will take you to another page, which tells you all the different ways you can donate. You can click the blue donate button. You can send money by Zelle. You can text to give. You can send a check, and then you can come in on Sunday service and just drop your money right in the basket. And however, all of those are appreciated and they're loved, and they will come back to you. I guarantee that. So that's all I have for tonight. And I just really want to thank all of you for being here. And I'm going to turn it back over to Reverend Sunshine to pray us out.
Thank you so much, Constance, for hosting. We bless Reverend Sally, who will be back next week. I thank all of you. I thank you from the top of my heart and the bottom and all sides of my heart. I send you love and blessings. And so as we prepare to adjourn this meeting, we know that we have come together with open hearts and with loving spirits, and that we bless each other this evening as we go our separate ways, which might be just into the next room. We might be leaving, going somewhere in the car, wherever it is and however we do. I bless us and know that we sleep well tonight. We sleep with the angels, and that we are divinely protected and surrounded in everything that we do, and that we lift our spirits in love, harmony, joy, peace, and all that is good. And it returns to us, multiplied, pressed down, and running over with the goodness and greatness of God. For this, we give thanks and are overjoyed. I can't speak for you, but I sure can speak for me, and I can name it in this word here of truth, that I am overjoyed for the beauty and the grace of God that goes before us and prepares the way. We let it rest there in total completion through love and law, and know it is so. And so it is. Praise God. Yes.
And so it is.
Yeah.
And so